January 1st, 2012. The world wakes up to a countdown. This is the year the calendars end. The year the Mayan long count supposedly hits zero, and the year the end of the world becomes a global obsession. There is a strange, manic energy in the air, a blend of digital cynicism and primal fear. We enter the year looking at the sky, waiting for a sign, while on the ground, the gears of the 21st century are accelerating at a terrifying velocity. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of a dying era and the ozone of a new digital reality that is ready to be born. In the high-tech laboratories of Switzerland, the magnets of the Large Hadron Collider are humming, searching for the God particle that holds the universe together. In the streets of London, the scaffolding for the Olympics is rising like a monument to human endurance. It is the moment the analog world takes its final bow and the algorithm takes the stage. Before the first quarter ends, the world will watch a cruise ship sink off the coast of Italy and a teenager die in a Florida suburb, events that will ignite the digital fury of the new decade. The world is holding its breath, not for an apocalypse of fire, but for an apocalypse of change. The State of the Planet in 2012 is a study in hyperconnectivity. We are living in the definitive smartphone ascendancy. This is the year the iPhone 5 launches and Android expands its global footprint. For the first time, more people are accessing the internet via mobile devices than desktops. We are no longer logging on, we are always on. The tech level is pushing toward the ubiquitous. This is the year Facebook goes public, solidifying social media as the primary infrastructure of human interaction. We are obsessed with the instant. The rise of Instagram and the Vine culture proves that our attention span is now measured in seconds. Economically, the world is a bifurcated recovery. The Eurozone is in a debt-death spiral, with Greece, Spain, and Italy facing staggering unemployment and austerity protests. Contrast this with the Silicon gold rush in the West, where venture capital is pouring into apps that promise to disrupt every facet of human life. The cultural mood is apocalyptic escapism. We are obsessed with zombies, dystopias, and the Mayan prophecy because it is easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of the current economic system. Geopolitically, the world is a cauldron of friction. The Arab Spring has moved into its winter phase. The hope of Tahrir Square is being replaced by the brutal reality of the Syrian civil war. In the East, the pivot to Asia is the new strategic mantra of the United States, as China's rise becomes impossible to ignore. The climate is sounding a violent alarm. 2012 is the year the Arctic sea ice hits a record minimum, and the U.S. Midwest suffers through its worst drought in 50 years. We are a civilization of constant feedback, living in a state of high-definition anxiety, while the fundamental structures of our identity are being digitized. We are connected, distracted, and waiting for the world to end, or to begin again. The spark that changes the physical trajectory of the century occurs in a circular tunnel deep beneath the border of France and Switzerland, July 4, 2012. Scientists at CERN announced the discovery of a particle consistent with the Higgs Boson. This is the moment the God particle is finally caught. The discovery is not just a scientific milestone. It is the final piece of the Standard Model puzzle. This single event makes the rest of the year's scientific momentum inevitable. It triggers a conceptual shift in how we understand mass and the fabric of reality. For 40 years, the Higgs was a ghost in the equations. In 2012, it became a fact. This is the spark because it represents the peak of human collaborative intellect. Thousands of minds from across the globe, speaking 100 different languages, agreed on the fundamental architecture of the universe. It proves that despite our political fractures, our species can still solve the infinite. The shockwaves lead to a quantum leap in physics that we are still unraveling today. Why does this matter? Because it gave us the keys to the universe. It proved that the universe has a structure that is discernible to the human mind. The discovery leads to a new era of particle research and a fundamental boost in technological confidence. This is the moment the unknown was mapped. The world is no longer just a place, it is a field, and 2012 is the year we found the particle that gives it weight. The search for meaning finally had a physical result. While the scientific world is mapping the universe, the political world is witnessing a status quo reaffirmation. In November 2012, Barack Obama secures a second term in the United States. defeating Mitt Romney in a race defined by the data-driven campaign. This is the optimization of democracy through analytics. While the US chooses stability, the rest of the world is witnessing tectonic leadership shifts. In China, the once-in-a-decade transition occurs as Xi Jinping is named General Secretary of the Communist Party. This is the consolidation of the East. Xi's rise signals a more assertive China, a total rejection of the hide-and-bide philosophy of his predecessors. Contrast this with Russia, where Vladimir Putin returns to the presidency for a third term amidst massive protests in Moscow, the Bolotnaya Square movement. This is the freezing of the Russian Spring. In the Middle East, the political chess is bloody. Egypt elects its first democratically chosen president, Mohamed Morsi, a victory for the Muslim Brotherhood that will prove to be short-lived. In Libya, the Benghazi attack kills the US ambassador, a flashpoint that will haunt American politics for a decade. 2012 is a year of consolidation and contradiction. From the Red Prince rise in Beijing to the 4 more years tweet in Washington and the hardline return in Moscow, the global leadership is hardening its positions. It is a world where the old orders are fighting to stay relevant in a digital square that is increasingly hostile to their control. The political moves of 2012 are about survival. The incumbents of the world are building walls, both digital and physical, to protect their seats from the coming tsunami of disruption. The social energy of 2012 is a kinetic explosion of viral velocity and identity awakening. In the digital sphere, we witness Gangnam Style. It is the first video to hit 1 billion views on YouTube, a cultural reset that proves the center of pop has shifted to the East. We are a society obsessed with the flash mob and the meme. We Tebow because a quarterback knelt, and we argue over Coney 2012, the first truly viral documentary that proved slacktivism could mobilize millions in a single weekend. But the voice of the people is also finding its rage. In February, the death of Trayvon Martin in a gated community in Florida ignites a digital grassroots movement that will eventually form the backbone of modern civil rights. We are seeing the rise of the smartphone witness. Pop culture meets social change as the London Olympics opening ceremony celebrates the NHS and British history, a national branding event that feels like the last gasp of analog patriotism. Culturally, we are in the era of the Hunger Games and the Avengers. We are seeking heroes to save us from dystopia. We are the generation of binge reading. 50 Shades of Grey becomes a global phenomenon, proving that the digital Kindle has made the most private of interests a public commodity. Socially, 2012 is the year the outrage becomes a currency. From the Stop Online Privacy Act and More Protect IP Act blackouts that saved the open internet to the Pussy Riot trial in Russia that became a global symbol of feminist resistance, we use the digital square to fight systemic oppression. How did the average person interact with the world? Through a like button that was quickly becoming a weapon. We are the main characters of a world that is always watching. And in 2012, the performance became more important than the reality. By the autumn of 2012, the pressure cooker of the climate and the city reaches a red line. In October, Superstorm Sandy slams into the east coast of the United States. It is not just a hurricane, it is a metropolitan catastrophe. The New York City subway floods, the power goes out in Lower Manhattan, and the capital of the world is plunged into darkness. This is the environmental escalation that proves no city is too big to fail. The momentum is building toward a climate reckoning. The escalation is not just ecological, it is geopolitical and psychological. In November, the 8-day war in Gaza, Operation Pillar of Defense, proves that the cycle of violence is now a perpetual conflict fueled by social media. Simultaneously, the cyber war reaches a friction point as the Shamoon virus wipes out 30,000 computers at Saudi Aramco, proving that the global energy grid is as vulnerable as a home laptop. In the United States, the social pressure reaches a breaking point with the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting in December. It is a national trauma that forces a moral red line on gun violence that the system fails to cross. The pressure is building at the borders of the individual as Facebook's IPO proves that privacy is now a product. We are witnessing a multi-front breach. The red line of the weather, the red line of the schoolhouse, and the red line of the server room are all being violated. We are living through a fractured reality where the old safeties, the coast, the school, and the password are proving to be illusions. The escalation is a total war on our sense of stability. In the shadow of the explosion, the highs of 2012 represent the absolute peak of human curiosity. This is the year we landed a nuclear-powered car on another planet using a sky crane, August 6, 2012. The Curiosity rover touches down in Gale Crater on Mars. It is a technological miracle, a 7 minutes of terror that ended in a high-definition victory. It is a reminder that while we are fighting over budgets, we are capable of interplanetary exploration. But the wins are also personal and physical. In 2012, Felix Baumgartner breaks the sound barrier with his own body. Jumping from the edge of space 128,000 feet, he falls back to Earth in a global spectacle that proves human courage is still our greatest asset. We are also seeing the technological leap of the Tesla Model S. This is the year the electric car stops being a golf cart and starts being the future of transport, proving that innovation can outpace extraction. In the world of human achievement, 2012 sees the London Olympics as a masterclass in global unity. Michael Phelps becomes the most decorated Olympian of all time, and Usain Bolt cements his status as the fastest man in history. These are the highs of the human machine, proof that we can push the body to divine limits. Technologically, the win is deep learning. This is the year the AlexNet neural network shatters records in image recognition, signaling the big bang of AI that will define our 2026 reality. We are building silicon brains that can see better than we can. Even the environmental high is found in the renewable surge. Germany generates 50% of its electricity from solar for the first time in 2012, proving the species can pivot if it has the will. These highs are the proof that our curiosity is our survival strategy. We can land on Mars, we can fall from space, and we can code intelligence. 2012 is the year we proved that the species is still reaching, even when the planet is screaming. The most emotional part of the year is the Sandy Hook massacre. 20 children and 6 adults taken in a sanctuary of learning, a spiritual wound that leaves the world in total silence. We see the cost of neglect in the Costa Concordia sinking, where a captain's cowardice leads to 32 deaths in a modern-day Titanic. The ledger includes the Syrian children of the Hula massacre, 108 lives snuffed out by a regime's brutality, a global failure of the responsibility to protect. We mourn the Marikana miners in South Africa, 34 men gunned down for demanding a living wage. A post-apartheid trauma that proves the economic chains are still heavy. We lose the pioneers of the 20th century. The death of Neil Armstrong in August is a lunar heartbreak. The first man on the moon returns to the stars, leaving us in a world that feels ground-bound. We say goodbye to Whitney Houston, the voice of a generation, and Ray Bradbury, the architect of our future. The lows are also structural. The Aurora theater shooting in Colorado proves that even our escapism is no longer safe. The human cost of Superstorm Sandy is a ledger of 233 dead and $1 billion ruin. 2012 is a year where the grief was unbearable. From the fallen soldiers in Afghanistan to the drowned migrants in the Mediterranean and the silent classrooms of Newtown, the ledger of grief is a reminder that our sophistication is no shield against stupidity and spite. It is the part of the script that burns, the darkness that makes the Mars landing feel like a necessary escape. 2012 is a mandatory chapter in the history books because it represents the birth of the digital reel. This was the year the internet stopped being a destination and became our environment. What died in 2012 was the analog buffer. The assumption that you could step away from the world was killed by the always-on smartphone. What was born this year was the algorithm-first identity. Facebook's IPO and the AlexNet breakthrough proved that our lives were now data points for a silicon intelligence. 2012 mattered because it was the year the end of the world became the end of the illusion. It proved that a viral video could move more people than a presidential speech, a rover could provide more hope than a treaty, and a storm could dismantle a superpower's infrastructure in a night. We interpret 2012 as the year the future stopped being coming and started being current. The climate emergency, the AI revolution, and the death of privacy were no longer predictions. They were operating systems. 2012 is the year we stopped watching the countdown and started living in the zero. It was the year of the Great Transition, where the physical world and the digital code finally merged into one. How does 2012 dictate your life right now in 2026? Look at your AI assistant. The neural networks that power your 2026 reasoning models are the direct descendants of the deep learning explosion that occurred in 2012. The electric grid you use today, increasingly powered by the renewable surge that hit critical mass in 2012, is the legacy of that year's innovation leap. The geopolitical reality of 2026, the Xi-led superpower and the fortress Russia, is a direct result of the Putin return and the Xi ascension 14 years ago. We live in a world where social activism is digital first, a system that was template-built by the Kony and Trayvon movements of 2012. The climate policy of 2026 is the legacy of the Sandy wake-up call and the Arctic record low. We live in a world where private space exploration is the standard, a reality that was validated by the Curiosity landing. Even your media, the short-form loop of information and the subscription economy, was hardwired in that year. You aren't just watching history. You are residing in the architecture that was built in 2012. The incumbents of that year are the history of today, but their codes are still running our world. 2012 was the year the calendar didn't end, but the certainty did. We landed on Mars, but we lost our peace on Earth. We found the God particle, but we couldn't find a way to protect our children. It was a year of the apocalypse that wasn't, and the awakening that was. A chapter where the species looked at the 0 hour and decided to keep streaming. The archive is closing on the year of the Maya and the sky crane, but the vault is just opening on the year the secrets would truly leak. Join us for the next exposure. If this year surprised you, challenged what you thought you knew, or reminded you of something you lived through, leave a comment with what it meant to you. If this series helps you understand the present through the past, consider liking the video. And if you want every year exposed, subscribe to the channel. History isn't just something we watch, it's something we interpret, and something many of us lived through. Another year exposed is coming soon. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.